World leaders, academics and tech industry insiders are attending the world's first ever AI safety conference at Bletchley Park in London, famous for being the top secret home of Britain's World War II codebreakers. The meeting comes at a time of rapid development and massive investment within the industry. AI enthusiasts point to the technology's potential to transform sectors like healthcare and transport. But there are also warnings about the grave dangers it poses, including the spread of misinformation and deep fakes. Let's talk now to our correspondent Birgit Mast. She's at Bletchley Park following that summit for us. Birgit, we know that AI offers amazing potential and also poses enormous, even existential risks. What would you say the purpose of this summit is?
Well, yes, I'm here in Bletchley Park, and the building behind me is where some of the code breakers, the most famous amongst them were Alan Turing, were cracking Nazi codes during World War II. And Alan Turing, we know, one of his big questions was, can machines think? And he would have had fun at the summit, because it's really the world's biggest brains when it comes to artificial intelligence are asking the question of where are the extreme risks that are connected with machine learning, with artificial intelligence. So one of the godfathers of AI, Joshua Bengio, is here, and he said that in the future, artificial intelligence could help spread misinformation so quickly, destabilize democracies, but also bioweapons can basically be built by people at home. So there are really massive risks involved, and Rishi Sunak has assembled these tech brains really from across the world. Delegation from China we're hearing is here, and all the major Western democracies and tech entrepreneurs to actually come to a baseline, a guardrail really, to see where are the most extreme risks from artificial intelligence and where should governments, what can governments do about it, what can international bodies do about it.
Birgit, it's interesting that the UK is hosting this conference because its government favours what it's calling a pro-innovation approach. Is this just another word for lighter touch regulation?
It's a balancing act, Kate. Most countries are really desperate to attract companies that work with AI because these are really the future technologies and everybody is trying to get a head start. But obviously we also know that there are big risks involved and that the technology, that even the experts don't even know what these machines will be able to do in the future. Critics are pointing out, though, that there are risks that are much closer to home, and they are being at risk of being forgotten here at this conference, because there are risks, for example, when it comes to spreading fake news. One expert told me that in the future, within really lightning speed, fake news, altered images, altered videos could be distributed around the world much faster even than they can today. So experts are calling for more actual regulation. These attendees here, and Rishi Sunak's aim is not really to develop a regulatory framework, let alone an international regulatory framework, but it's a common understanding. But experts are saying that this is not enough and that countries need to build something very fast. They need to build frameworks at home, and there needs to be more monitoring of companies and more monitoring of these technologies.
On that question of a common understanding, though, we know that US Vice President Kamala Harris is attending this event, as is European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Given that AI-driven technologies have such a global reach, almost by definition, how feasible do you think it even is to reach anything close to a global consensus?
There are definitely a lot of initiatives when it comes to artificial intelligence. There's something on a UN level. The US has just put out an executive order that asks companies to be much more transparent when it comes to artificial intelligence. The G7 have come to an understanding, and also the EU is very close to publishing what they call the Artificial Intelligence Act, which is, from what we know, the legislation that would go furthest in terms of actually regulating the sector. So there are many initiatives on many different levels, but what Prime Minister Sunak wants to have here. He wants to have the top experts, really the top brains, some of the godfathers of artificial intelligence are here at the summit, and he's got some of the really top tech executives to really talk about where need to be the guardrails of the future, and how, on an international level, how can the risk be mitigated, and where's the common understanding of the risk of artificial intelligence.
Yeah, and talking of those big brains, one of the people attending will be Sam Altman, who founded OpenAI. That's the company behind ChatGPT. Elon Musk is coming too. What message can we expect from them?
These big companies are driving the innovation when it comes to artificial intelligence, and we know that Elon Musk has in the past warned of the dangers, but at the same time, companies would much rather self-regulate than being subject to very onerous regulation on national or international level. I have spoken to a delegation that work in a European defense company, and they are saying, well, it's really regulation is important, but on the other hand, we need to make sure that the democracies are basically not losing our speed. We need to be on top of it, so we can't stop the research, we can't stop the innovation. We need to move as fast as possible so that the democracies are winning that race. So there is a balancing act. Companies want some sort of framework. They want to know where they can stop, but at the same time, they don't want to be regulated too much.
This event is expected to end with Prime Minister Rishi Sunak delivering a speech outlining what participants have agreed on. Do you have any sense of what conclusions could even be drawn and how binding they would be?
We know that they're working on some communique. As far as I know, it hasn't been published yet. Initially, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak was hoping to establish some international body like the International Panel on Climate Change. So some body that meets regularly and reports and monitors regularly. We don't know whether this will be in the communique in the end, or whether these politicians essentially will be able to agree on it. But we do know that there is a certain urgency, because experts and people that are here at the summit are really warning that at the moment, even the finest brains don't really know what these machines will be able to do in the future, and that there is a necessity to build models where we know how they can succeed. So there's definitely an urgency to get on top of this issue, and fast.
And we'll be following that very closely. Birgit Maas from Bletchley Park in London, thank you very much.